Hi everyone. Let me know when you are signed in. Yay, Tree is here. So let's see if I can. Hi, Pedro. Let me see if I can get Tree in the video. Tree, are you able to click the join button at your end? All right, there she is. Rachel is in the house. All right. Hi, guys. So let me know if you're in here. Otherwise, I can just see the little eye at the top. Give me a hashtag live if you're live, hashtag replay if you're watching the replay, hashtag new if you're new so I can build a connection with you. And since this is episode 5, give me a hashtag get dreaming with Fan if you've been following along for this whole journey. So it's just waiting for Tree to connect, saying she's incoming. Yeah! Hey, Tree.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for doing this, even though I know it's your 1 a.m.
Yeah, it's 1 a.m. here in the United Kingdom. But I'm still on the West Coast time
Okay.
because I just flew in today, so I'm still slightly awake, a little bit awake.
Got off your private jet.
Yeah, I know there was only like 20 people on the jet.
Oh, hold on. My music has come on. Giving you a little musical introduction. All right, so let me give you a brief intro. So this is Tree. Tree is an author, conscious dreaming guide, death doula, and intuitive tarot reader. She likes to help people activate, explore, and better understand the dream worlds by cultivating, in-depth daily dream practices. She holds workshops, courses, dreaming and plant ceremonies and retreats worldwide. You are self-taught in divinatory guidance, the tarot, rune stones, astrology, and you are also co-host of one of my favorite podcasts, which is the Dream Freaks. We got another
Oh,
one in. Jennifer just joined. She's also on the Dream
yay,
Freaks.
Jennifer.
And you've published your first book, which is Dreams, A Conscious Guide in 2018. And you have a new book coming out, Conscious Dreamer, in February 2021.
Yeah, let's hope it'll be February 2021. Because of all this COVID stuff, everything's getting delayed. But I handed my book in like 2 days ago, the new one. So it's
Congratulations.
at least it's done and dusted. So we'll see. We'll see how it manifests after
Fingers
that.
crossed.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Tree, you've been doing this since early childhood, right? Exploring spirituality, consciousness, and dream work. So please share with us, like, how did you get into all this work? Where did it all begin?
I think it began when I first started just engaging with my own consciousness as a little kid, and I think I did that quite a bit because I grew up in a atmosphere that had no television, no radio, no outside influences when it came to pop culture, and certainly my formative years were in the 1970s. So like I was born in 1972, so there was no internet, and there wasn't even anything like that in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid, and then growing up into being a teenager. So I think because my formative years were like well, I grew up on a commune when I was my formative years, so there was a big connection with nature and a
Mm-hmm.
big connection with just being present. And I didn't realize that that's what was happening. You just grow up that way. But as I got older, I realized, like, wow, I'm really glad I grew up that way because I
Yeah.
was constantly out playing. I was engaged with my consciousness and my imagination. So my
Mm-hmm.
earliest I guess, memories of anything dreamy, and was quite early on.
Yeah.
My dream worlds were really active and vivid because there was nothing else to do but go inward. So it was kind of like doing the social isolation,
Yeah.
insulating thing. But in
You're used to
the
it.
yeah, it gave me this space to do that. And I remember just like sitting, even just when I was a kid, like sitting under trees, like really like looking at plants, really
Mm.
studying like textures of mushrooms, and really like engaging with my environment. And I remember being very aware that I was a consciousness that was experiencing something. And I always kind of had this inner dialogue as a child too. That was almost narrating this story and this moving picture that I was being involved in. So yeah, from a young age, I was always really interested in my perception of reality.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's such an interesting point, isn't it? Because I was the same. Like when I was a kid, we didn't quite have internet. And so I remember, running down the street and knocking on all my friends' doors. And we'd go into the woods and find like little fairy circles and play with rocks and sticks. So I'm like, I guess kids don't do that nowadays.
Yeah, it's really different, right? And that's why with like my second book, it's being really directed towards a younger audience. So because I'm really into getting younger people into into dreaming, getting off the tablets and off the video games, and not completely, obviously, you can just balance it out, but just showing them that they have these really rich inner worlds that they can explore. That are that are more mind-blowing in a way, because your consciousness can explore amazing things in the lucid dreaming realms, definitely.
Sure. So if you could go back, like knowing everything and becoming who you are today, if you could go back to your childhood self when all this started beginning for you, would you give yourself any advice? Would you do things any differently?
Well, when I was a little kid, I became very hard on myself, especially when I went into like a normal school system, where it was the big thing when I was, maybe it's the same too now for kids now, but in the 1980s when I was in school, like grade school or whatever, middle school, the big thing was like, what are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to be? And I remember we had to do all these weird tests, and then this like old computer would spit out the results and tell you what you were going to be when you grew up. Like everyone's getting these fantastic like careers, like judges and lawyers, and and I was just really had no idea how to even to fill it out, because I just felt like the pressure. So one thing I would say to my younger self is, don't worry about what you're going to be when you grow up. Just be, and don't put pressure on yourself. I I always felt kind of like I laughed at that question, what are you going to be when you grow up? Because part of me was just like, well, I'm never going to grow up, so how's that going to work? And I didn't actually really start stepping into this work that I'm doing with dreams, death, and divination in 2012. Like when I turned 40, basically. I'm 47 now. So when I was 40, everything just sort of aligned and came together, and it was like it felt like a really big calling and a very big pull. So all of these zones that I was working in since I was a young person all seemed to have accumulated over many, many years, and all of them merged at the same time when I was 40, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this. But before that, I was like, I was working in the music industry. I've always been a musician, played in bands. I worked in the film industry. So I had a very different, I guess, pragmatic path, but certainly everything came to a head when I was 40. It was like, right, you got to get out and do this work. It's like, okay. And so I never looked back. But yeah, I would just tell my younger self, don't worry. You just go with you flow, and you follow your excitement, you follow your passions,
Yeah.
and don't feel the pressures from society as to what you're going to be when you grow up, because it will all come together. As long as you
Yeah.
follow your passions, I think that's the key, and be your
Mm.
authentic self. I think that really sorts it all out. Live in that way.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such an important point, currently as well, with a lot of people. getting out of work and kind of thinking about or rethinking about what they want to do with their lives, you know, right now, and what the future is going to hold. And it can cause anxiety, but you know, anxiety is kind of the other polar end of excitement for me. And really, yeah, really getting the chance to think about what it is that we're passionate about, like what do we want to do with our magical human lives.
Yeah, this is a great chance to do it. This, you know, everyone's put on pause. In the tarot deck, it would be we've pulled the Hangman card, which is the card of
Right.
suspension and limbo. But it's an amazing time to do that, to regroup and go, right,
Yeah.
what am I really passionate about? I've been working this job that I don't like for X amount of years, and now I'm just I'm not having to do it, and I can breathe a bit. And I've heard on the news the other day here in England, they had on the news that people are reporting that their dreams are really lively. Like people are now reporting that I'm dreaming again, and isn't
Yeah.
that amazing? It's just like you get out of the construct of the 9 to 5 stressful anxiety lifestyle of
Sure.
work, the rat race, and you slow right down and people connect straight away to the dreams again. So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. It's
It
cool.
makes so much sense. And I know you have a lot of powerful precognitive dreams. You had that incredible one about the Australian fires.
Oh, yeah.
What are your dreams saying to you at the moment during this time?
Yeah, the precog thing, that's something I've had since I was a teenager. And it's a good thing I write down my dreams or record myself talking about them, because when they do come to pass, it's like, oh wow, okay. And
Yeah.
I had one about COVID as well last year. I had a whole was shown the virus and codes and like numerical codes and
Wow.
and dates. So that was pretty full on as well. But right now, the only precogs I'm having at the moment are usually about people. And usually when I have a prompt or a dream about a person, I'll get in touch and check in with them and say,
Mm.
hey, I've had, so I've been having quite a bit of like checking in with people. All my dream work is always like, yo, go help that person out. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
go help that person. It's always like, it's never like, yay, adventure times. I mean, that is too, but it's always like, I feel like I'm working when I'm in my sleep. I'm even giving tarot readings and like lucid dreams and stuff.
Oh,
It's
that's
so
so
funny.
cool.
It's quite funny. But yeah, in terms of, so not much, there's precog mostly to do with people at the moment, and I'm having a lot of after death visitation dreams at the moment. So a lot of
Mm.
people who have died, who've passed over, have shown up in my dreams, and so that seems to be the theme for me. I have not had any any COVID related dreams at all.
Wow. What do you think? Why do you think that is? What's with all
Maybe
the deceased people showing up
I
and
know. I don't know. Maybe it's because I had my COVID dream last year. It was like, okay,
You're
I've already
done.
had we had the dream, but it just seems like I always find that in my dream work, I'm always called to help people. So I think that's why my dreams at this time have moved into that, that are really the emphasis is on that right now, because a lot of
Yeah,
people are in places where they could use some help.
for sure.
Uh, so it's hard times, weird, freaky times.
Mm. Yeah, it definitely is. Do you have any, you know, daily dream rituals, things you do in the morning or the evening to help you, you know, tap into all this work, or for people that want to dive in and start dreaming, things or tips, advice you could give?
Yeah, I work a lot with plants. So my big go-to with dreaming and a dreaming practice is working with plants and working in alignment with nature.
Mm.
And we are nature.
Yeah,
Our innate ability to connect with our own consciousness, to go into inner worlds, deeper worlds within ourselves, and also connect to the greater collective and the collective unconscious and other people through precognitive dreams, through mutual dreaming. I see that as innately a part of nature, because we're all part of this symbiotic system. So I work a lot with plants. So I always try to push plants on people. I'm like the big dream herb like pusher. I'm drinking some now. Like I forgot, look at that.
Oh, cool. What is
So,
that you're drinking?
so tonight I'm drinking Kalea Zacatashishi, and it's a Mexican dream herb, and it's one of my favorite ones. Your hypnagogic state gets very activated with Kalea Zacatashishi, so it's a really great threshold state in which you can get a lot of insight or just go straight into a lucid dream,
Yeah.
have an experience out of body. And the chances of going lucid, I find, are quite high on this dream herb. And
Cool.
also, it's quite shamanic too. So sometimes shamanic themes come through quite a bit because it is
Mm-hmm.
a used by the Chantal people in Oaxaca. So it
Mm-hmm.
has it's been used as a divination herb, and it's got this little character about it. So I work a lot with dream herbs, and I'll usually drink them at night before I go to sleep. And I'll set intentions. So I'll get my dream journal out, and I will set an intention for the evening as to what I want to do in dreams.
Yeah.
And it can vary. Sometimes it's I'd like to learn something tonight. I would like to connect with another dreamer tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to help other people. So sometimes it changes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I drift into sleep. As I'm falling into sleep, I always observe my hypnagogic state.
Yeah.
So I always keep my consciousness really engaged as my body's falling into sleep. So when
Mm-hmm.
your body falls into sleep, you get this sort of melted, heavy feeling, and sometimes you start feeling vibrations in your body, and you start slipping into the hypnagogic, which can be kind of trippy for some people. You can see flashes of light, sometimes color as you're falling asleep. Sometimes we hear things. We can hear snippets of conversation or pieces of music, and that can jolt people awake. So the idea is to just keep your consciousness observing and in that state, and not rolling over and getting really like comfy and falling asleep, but just to really sit with it. And
Yeah.
often you could go speak your intentions again or your affirmations in the hypnagogic state. And,
Mm-hmm.
either go straight into a dream fully conscious, or, sometimes you just slip into sleep, and then but your dreams feel quite activated after that. At least I feel that way for myself. And
Yeah.
that's usually a something that happens. I usually wake up early, and then sort of like I'm up, like kind of up a little bit, and then I'll set intention again and go in
Yeah.
again. And so my second stage of sleep is usually pretty high chance of lucidity or an out of body experience. But then in the mornings, I'm back on the dream journal, and I write the dreams I experienced from the night before. I work with a dream herb in the mornings called guayusa, which is
Cool.
used, it's an Amazonian leaf that's used by the Kishiwa people, and they use it as a dream in the mornings at dawn, and they use it to dream share and dream interpret. So
Very
I
cool.
use that. Yeah, so I'm always like pushing the plants.
I know that you have you've kind of made a store now where you can give like different packets of the plants that you have. Is that
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. So you can get them on my website, or send me a direct message on Instagram as well. And then all the workshops and retreats I do, I bring them all along. So we really get into the plant work. So I guide people through not just what the history of the plants are, and their natural compounds, but also just what plant consciousness is. So I talk about plant consciousness quite a bit, which
Cool.
is really far out for some people because they're like, what? Plants aren't conscious. They're just this weird green stuff that grows around. But I really see these things from more of a, like, I guess, a shamanic perspective. But,
Mm,
shamanic perspective doesn't mean that you have to be from some sort of indigenous
right.
peoples or tribe. In a way, this is what we all innately were in the beginning. We
Yeah.
were all shamans. I mean, you could call it different words. You could say shamans. You could say cunning folk or witches,
Mhm.
or however you want to define it. It's people who have it, and we all have this ability to just connect
Yeah.
with nature, and connect with the consciousness of nature. We've lost a lot of this knowledge, right? Because over the years we've become more industrialized, and we've moved away and disconnected from nature. And in many ways, our hearts have grown quite cold as a result.
Mhm.
That's why I think we are disconnected from dreams sometimes
Yeah.
because of that. But
Yes.
yeah, the dream herbs and plants are a big part of what I like to do. But ultimately, I just love to activate people into dreams. So even
Yeah.
just having conversations about consciousness and the possibilities of exploring your consciousness in the dream state.
Mhm.
So, I like to say, just because you go to sleep, it doesn't mean that your consciousness has stopped. I mean, it's
Right.
still there in some spectral way.
Mhm.
If you see lucidity and consciousness on a spectrum, there's varying points of lucidity within that spectrum. You'll have a full-on lucid dream, which you're present and aware and really engaged. But then you can probably attest that you've had dreams before where you're like, I know this is a dream, but you're not fully lucid. And you're like, I'm observing, I'm just watching like a film, I'm learning. And those dreams are just as valid as a lucid dream. Your consciousness is just, we have this on a day to day.
Yeah.
We can sit and chat with each other. We seem like we're present, but you could be thinking about, oh, I'm going to go hiking in that mountain over there. Like you're not fully lucid with the present moment. So,
Right. Yeah. It's really interesting the different levels and even how the dream can mess with that. And I've worked with a couple of people who are trying to lucid dream and we've pointed out dream signs and stuff like that. And one of my recent friends, one of her dream signs is her younger brother being who's now in high school or college being a baby, and he always shows up as a baby in her dreams. And the other night she had a dream about him, and one of the dream characters asked her like, oh, your brother's so much younger than you, and she told him like, oh yeah, my it's one of my dream signs. Like he's always younger in my dream, but that still like didn't click in. It's one of those like moments.
it's so good, right? And these dream
Yeah.
signs are a great way too. And I've been encouraging people because I've been doing these every Sunday. I've been doing dreaming workshops, and
Yeah.
whoever joins and wants to talk lucidity, I've been encouraging them to use COVID as a dream sign. Because a lot of time, because a lot of people are dreaming about COVID right now, especially the social distancing thing, because our reality, our waking reality has changed a lot right now because
Yeah.
we have this whole thing like, no, don't get too close.
Right.
2 meters distance. So people are hyper vigilant and aware, and they've been training themselves. I said, this is like a new reality check.
Yeah.
And people like washing their hands constantly,
Yeah.
like every 20 minutes. It's like every time you social distance, every time you wash your hands, do a reality check
For sure.
because everyone's dreaming about this right now. The chances of you clocking that in a dream is pretty high. So you can use the whole COVID thing as a dream sign,
That's
and
amazing.
it works because you're having a dream and someone's getting too close.
Yeah.
Dream characters coming and crouching, and you're like, "Yo, you got to stay back!" And then you just realize that, wait
No
a minute,
group.
this is a yeah.
So true. Yeah. Well, would you mind sharing one of your, for people who maybe don't know the depths of this, like a recent maybe intention that you set and then what happened in that lucid dream?
Let's see, what was a recent intention? Um, uh, let's have a think about that. Um, oh yeah, I did have this was when I was in California.
Yeah.
I just set an intention to mutually dream. I was just sort of like, I feel like I was in a space where it's like, oh, I could use a little encouragement. I think it was just when COVID broke out, and I was like, oh, this is a bit weird. I was just like, I could really use the dream to connect and
Yeah.
receive some encouragement or some kind of like connection. And I guess in a way I was like asking for, can someone help me out for a change? Because I feel like I'm always helping people.
Like, I don't want to work tonight. Give me a break.
Yeah, so it was that. It was just like, it was that. And then, so then I'm having a dream, and I have some friends who are in the Amazon right now, and they're still there, and they've decided
Wow.
to stay. And in my dream that night, I had a dream where I was kind of floating above and observing this scene in the jungle, and it was very specific. There was a group of people, and my friends were there, and I have a couple of friends, and they were there, and I could see that there was like a water pipe, and people were getting water from like a water pipe situation, and everyone was smiling. And I saw them all stand for a group photo, and they were all smiling, like really happy, and then it freeze framed like a picture, like a film, like it
Yeah.
goes freeze frame for a really long time. And I was like, this is really weird. And I was like, this is a really long and I was like, wait, this is a dream, of course. So I went lucid. And then the next bit was my friend, one of my friends who are in the Amazon, was standing there and he was holding this really strange substance. It looked like mirrored glass, but liquid. And it was
Yeah.
like he rolled it out really long, and it rolled undulating through the air into my hands. And I was holding it and it was moving, and he was like smiling and laughing. And I had just a really like knowing that this was a form of communication. I was like, I've never seen this substance before.
Wow.
It looked really sci-fi, but I
Yeah.
was filled with so much encouragement and connection. Like, yes, I'm really connecting like with my friends in the Amazon. They're doing some shamanic plant work. And of course, I didn't get to talk to my friends the next day because they were
Yeah.
in it's like kind of like a dieta. So you're there, no technology, you don't
Right.
talk to people. But when the dieta finished, my friend got in touch and mentioned that in the ayahuasca, like I was really coming through like in a
Wow.
connection. And I was like, that's crazy. I had this lucid dream where this substance,
That's
this
amazing.
interesting, like mirrored, like liquid substance was like a form of communication that was rolled out, and we were holding each end of it. So that really worked. That intention really worked. And it also was an interesting thing because it was a mutual shared dream space experience as well.
Yeah.
But I noticed that a lot with my friends who do a lot of plant medicine, and I can contest to this as well. That the realms of plant medicine journeys are very, very much like the lucid dream state and very similar. And I know DMT is very linked with a lot in theory with lucid dreaming, but
Yeah.
there's something about it that I've had this more than once where someone's gotten in touch, said I did a sacred mushroom ceremony and you showed up in my journey, and like I had a dream about you. And so there's something to be said about that shared space
Yeah.
when working with plant medicine and dreaming. I
Definitely.
always liken dreams as as psychedelic experiences in a way. They are experiences of consciousness, even though they are an altered state of consciousness because you're asleep and you're in a dream realm. They're very, I think they're valid. They're valid experiences of consciousness because you are emotively experiencing them, you are learning from them. That not valid?
For sure.
It's so there's some really that was my intention, that worked out. Yay.
That's so cool. Yeah. And like what a great time to use that now in this time that, people are missing that connection with people, or maybe can't travel to see friends or family or go to these places that they had planned to do. And I had the similar thing this past weekend. My retreat was canceled, but many of the attendees got in touch with me and were like, I got lucid that weekend and I was
Oh,
imagining we were
cool,
at the
Anna.
retreat. And it was like we had like a dream version of the lucid dream
It's so
retreat.
good.
Like
It's so
levels
good.
of inception unimaginable.
That's amazing. I mean, that's great. It's time to like step up a level with with the
Yeah.
dreaming. It's like mutual dreaming retreats.
Yeah. And how
In
about,
dream
so
space.
you mentioned that you've done tarot inside the dream. Have you also experimented with plant medicines inside your dreams as well?
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. Yeah, I've had plant medicines in dreams. I've had it's funny because it's more like the energy comes back. It's
Mm,
like so it's not like I'm in the dream drinking ayahuasca or
right.
in the dream, with sacred mushrooms,
Yeah.
but it's like I'm in the dream and I feel that energy or
Mm,
the aroma
Yeah.
of the plant come through. And so what I would say is I experienced the plant consciousness in a dream state, and then the energy coming through and working through it. And I know I have friends. I know Jennifer Clarascura is here on the thread, and she wrote to me once because I work a lot with plant medicine, and she was like, "Trey, your plant consciousness is coming through to me in the dreams. I met the ayahuasca consciousness in my dreams last night," and she's never drank ayahuasca, but she felt the plant consciousness. And the thing is, when you start working with plant consciousness, I guess I hate using this word, you give off that vibe, but there's something there. Who knows? You'd have to do lots of science-based lab research to see what happens, but maybe it activates something into you. But I can really sense, without sounding like a total whack job, but I can sense when people have worked with plants.
Yeah.
When I've done tarot readings, I can actually smell ayahuasca, the aroma around someone. Like, just it comes in and then it leaves, and then I'll just say, "Have you been working with ayahuasca?" They're like, "Yeah, just like 2 weeks ago." So there's something about plant consciousness that is like, it's incredible, but it's tangible, and they are our biggest. They're big teachers. They're great teachers. I mean, we can learn so much from them. And I don't see them as, I know society would deem them as like, oh, these are narcotics, or these are psychedelic drugs, and these are not things. They're not. They're entheogens. They're tremendous, amazing guides, and they're not addictive. So it's not like you kind of be like, I fancy a little bit of ayahuasca today. Like, it's like, believe me, you're not going to ever want to do that. You go through one night of that journeying, and you're like, never again. Like, that was so hard. Like, I felt like, it's not fun at all.
If anything, they help a lot with addictions as well.
Yeah, they do.
Like, people go and do ayahuasca, and then they never smoke cigarettes again. They quit alcohol. Like, it's very
for real.
cleansing.
Yes, it is. And I know a lot of friends who had addictions, and it's completely sorted them out. And even with myself, I've never felt, obviously I've had my wild times, but I never thought I was, addictive person. I could go out without things. But I had one ayahuasca journey where I was shown my cognitive relationship with alcohol. And it was so interesting, and went so deep, and it unpacked so much. And I purged a lot over alcohol. And I was really surprised, because I just never thought I was, had anything that would be connected or linked or addicted to it. But since then, and that was many years ago, I just like lost the taste for it. Like even just a social drink, it completely
not needed.
It's just like, wow. And you just feel the shift. It's really unusual. But yeah,
cool.
It is a big healer. It does definitely do some transformative things. But also the cool thing with working with plants too, especially the entheogens, is that you're thrust into the world of dreams. You're thrust into the visions, and you're lucid and very aware and conscious. And you really start to understand dream symbology. And you really start to embrace the visual world of dreams. So I find with these plant medicine experiences, they've been tremendous help when navigating nightmares, specifically lucid nightmares, because it's very much like a trip. You realize, like, I'm just observing this symbology that's popping up, and I can just sit with this and observe it and make conscious decisions to not be afraid and to embrace it. So there's an interesting link between those two experiences when it comes to visual language.
I think, like you said, how it's a bit of a trip too. Like, I always tell people, if you're gonna delve into psychedelics or delve into the dream world, like, just be aware that it's not always the experience you want. The dreams and the trips are gonna show you what you need, and that might not be what you want.
I know. And you know what, Lana? Like, a lot of the times it's like a stripping away of your ego. Like, that's the first thing that you get. It's like, here, have a little dose of this. You're like, your ego's melting away. So you experience, like, complete, ego dissolvement and ego death, and that can be very painful, obviously. And dreams can definitely take you through those realms too. But I always tell people that I'm guiding, it's like if you're having the nightmares, the sleep paralysis, the lucid nightmares, the recurring nightmares, use them as your biggest teachers, because these are huge prompts for you to look at that area and transcend it, and to move beyond it and move beyond the fear, because always on the other side of fear is like it's an expansive dimension on the other side that's full of freedom and amazing oneness of everything and love, you know, all that hippie shit that you hear. Why not?
I couldn't agree more. It's like I always get really, you know, the opposite feeling of people tend to think of nightmares and bad trips as these terrible experiences. And whenever I hear someone saying like, oh, well, I have a bunch of nightmares, I'm like, awesome. You've got, like, they're coming to you. You're ready. Like, you know, the world's showing you all this opportunity. It's time for change. And I always get really excited about that.
Yeah, great potential in nightmares. They're the biggest guides and teachers. And I know you help so many people through, especially that, and anxiety, because anxiety is a huge, and fear are like the big drivers of a lot of the scary material and the dark material. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I know we're going a bit over, but I wanted to ask, because I know you had this huge tour planned around the US, which we're all very excited about. And now obviously that isn't happening.
I know.
Where are you at the moment? What are your goals for 2020 now, and what are you working on?
Yeah, that was funny. Hey, so I had to get a little bit of a kick in the gut, like, oh, that didn't work out. And, you know, so I sulked for like maybe 48 hours. I went, oh no, I wanted to go around. I wanted to be out of England for 3 months and and do the work. But, you know, I quickly got over and went, okay, right. So this is, you know, change of plans. So let's do this. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
So what's happened now is, well, now I've flown back to the UK, but all of the retreat and workshop work that I was doing is like all going online. So actually, you know, I'm more busy now than
Before.
and it's, you know, it's great because you don't have to like hire a venue.
Amazing.
And you don't have to like buy all the food to feed all the people and stuff like that. Although that's really nice. I love that. And I love sharing dream space with other people and dreaming in the same room as other people. But no, it's adapted. So we just got to go with the flow and roll with the dice, right? And that's where we're at now. So there's a lot of stuff. I'm doing weekly dream workshops on Sundays. So every Sunday, there's going to be a different component to conscious dreaming, interspersed with every other Sunday, which is dream share. So we'll just like catch up on our dreaming practice and our dreams and our experiences. And that's through She's Lost Control, which is a place in London here in the UK. And they've rolled out their online platform. So I got all the info on my Instagram feed. And then I'm just carrying on with like, you know, I do tarot. So I've been doing like twice a week tarot readings on Instagram, which has been really good. Dream Freaks, we've been recording our episodes, our podcasts, and so that's been great. So look forward to more episodes from the Dream Breaks. We got that going on too.
Yay. I always look forward to the Dream Break.
You know, I've not even physically met Jennifer or Ale yet. And that was a big part of the trip that was making me go, no, is because I was going to meet them. I was going to, And we had like a whole retreat working out lined up that all three of us would do.
Oh my God.
We got to wait for the future.
Well,
that's fine.
I'm very excited for it to all come into fruition in the future, for sure. Cool.
Do you want me to pull a card before we go?
Yes, do one.
I always like working with tarot because it speaks lots of dream symbology, and there's loads of archetype symbology as well. Yeah. Carl Jung was a real advocate of the tarot. And it's a really great way to unpack deeper meanings into life themes, into little day-to-day nitty-gritty things. I
Yeah.
just love it. And I love the randomness too of pulling a card that just feels like, that really spoke to me. And there's 78 cards, so the likelihood of finding one that is spot on sometimes feels like really great
Yeah.
synchronicities.
I agree. I bought two tarot decks last year, and I don't do it super professionally or anything, but I just enjoy pulling them for myself, and a lot of the time I use them as dream recall, actually. Like if I
Yes.
totally black out, can't remember anything, which is quite rare, but sometimes I'll remember, oh, like let me look through my tarot deck and I'll see an image and get like an entire flashback of a segment of the dream. So I think that's super cool as well.
Yeah, they're great. They're great little like flashcards,
Mm.
memory triggers, and they're fantastic little prompts and guidance. So let's grab one as a concluding. I just like that.
Yeah,
Just get
let's
a
do
little
it.
card to conclude our to conclude our time together,
Yeah.
right? And I always do this on the Dream Freaks as well.
You do at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
It's mad how they line up really well with whatever you guys are talking about. It
I
seems,
know. Some of them were
especially
really
the Valentine's one was really
I
freaky.
know, that really freaked me out. Did you hear me? I was like, I can't believe we
Yeah.
found a Three of Swords. I was like, what? So I've got the Four of Wands. Four of Wands, it's like the card of the homecoming. It makes a lot of sense. We're all homebound right now. The wands being your creative projects and your passions. And this feels like a really great prompt for, us all being bound at home to see the celebratory aspect of it. So we've got two people there, they're in celebration, and they're like, it's actually quite positive. They're in front of their home, their castle, and they are, you know, coming together in celebration with for everything to do with home.
Yeah.
Um, I would totally take advice on this to if you're feeling like, no, this sucks, I'm trapped and I need to get out. It's like make your home your castle. Just really like get into your creative space, get into changing things up, even just I don't know, rearrange your room or like do the things around your house
Pillow
that you
fort.
yeah, or renovate something, move things around, spring clean. But it frees up the mental spaces too when we clear out our space and we make it our machine for creation. So the Four of Wands feels really good for that.
Love
Sometimes
that.
it also signifies coming together in partnership or marriage as well. So
Yeah.
any of you who have partners right now, probably good to look at, strengthening your relationship in a way, maybe doing something creative or fun together because of those wands. Those wands are our creativity and our passion. But overall, it's a card of home and a card of homecoming. And the fours numerologically in the tarot represent good foundations, so setting up firm foundations. So if you imagine the number four, as being four cornerstones of a structure that brings in quite a bit of stability and good foundation. So take the time right now in self isolation to really focus on your home. Doesn't mean that you need to put some new cornerstones into your house, but metaphorically speaking.
I
Or
hear you.
you might want to fix the roof or fix the
Yeah.
patio deck or whatever.
No, it's amazing what like a little shuffling of the home can do for a breath of fresh air and just realignment and more of a grounding space.
Yeah, and it changes the energy. Like it changes your mental energy. It's almost like as within, so without. So it's like a mirrored effect. If you got a messy desk, maybe your mind's feeling a bit messy. So you want to like just clean your desk.
Thank you, Tree. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful ending. I wish I could have those at the end of all of these. I always finish with asking people who they would like to see on Get Dreaming with. Like, are there any dreamers that you would love to know a bit more about them? have them shed some light. Not that I can promise I can get them on here, but yeah.
So dreamers that I don't know very well.
Yeah, or anyone that you'd be
Yeah, because of
interested in
course I was
knowing.
gonna. Yeah, because I don't know very well. Because I have my regular little dream family, like the dream freaks and
Yeah.
whatnot. But then there's many other lucid dreaming content people that I have not really talked to or gotten to know. And I think Reese would be one because I don't
Yeah.
really know Reese very well, apart from what I see in our thread and everything. So I would nominate Reese.
Okay, great. Reese has got several nominations. I know he's
Oh,
quite a
does he?
private person, but clearly he's being summoned to
Yeah, I mean,
reveal
it
himself.
was a very strong prompt, so I would just go with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Tree. It's great to know you. Do you want to just share some of your website links, social media links, and stuff
Okay.
like that so people can find you?
Yeah, so y'all can find me on Instagram. I'm Tree Carr, and on my Tree Carr Instagram, I've got all my lucid dreaming stuff's up there. Also, my death work and my divination work. And I've got a YouTube channel that really needs some love. So, like, I need to put some videos up. But you can check out my YouTube channel is called Lucid Dream Tree.
Okay.
And now that I've got more time, I'm going to try to make some more videos because I think the last one I made is from 3 months ago. So I really need, but you can find me on there. I've got lots of tips and things talking about consciousness, lucid dreaming, and lots of dream herbs and plants as well. But thank you so much,
Awesome.
Lana.
Thank you, Tree. Have a great night. I'll let you go back to sleep now. And I hope your jet lag doesn't last for too long. Enjoy those dreams.
Yes, thank you so much, Lana. Great to catch up.
You too.
Okay,
See
much
you
love.
soon.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.